makes her game. She is just so good at placement of that and keeping batters off balance.
I mentioned the 2 innings pitch. She picked up her 4th save of the season in a win against Iowa. It was Lauren Boyd, who was the starting pitcher, who picked up her 8th win of the season. And facing Billy Andrews in the leadoff spot. As we know, the Andrews sisters have been so important. Both of them now first-team All-Big Ten honorees this year. Billy bats first. Brooke follows her in the 5th spot in this lineup.
And I think one of the things for this Nebraska offense, when you're facing somebody that's as good as Danielle Williams, it's about finding the best pitch that she's going to throw all day. And I think that's going to be that first pitch. I think looking to be and really attack early on in the count is going to be where they're going to see their best pitches.
One ball, 2 strikes. His first at bat. Nebraska, this team, a lot of them back from last year to this year. A lot of those faces know what it's like to win a Big Ten tournament title. Rallied nicely last season, middle of the season, towards the end of the season, caught fire. And now comes into this year's Big Ten tournament as the number 4 seed. Fly ball to center field. Schellmeyer squares it up for the first out. And speaking of Skylar Schellmeyer, she can dance. She has a fun out there, but she can also execute out there. I mean, some highlight plays by this defense yesterday in the quarterfinals. Schellmeyer had a diving catch in center field. Angela Zedak there in left field also had a scoop catch right in front of her. Grace Nito in the second base spot had a leaping grab. And all of those, gem defensive plays happened with runners in scoring position for Iowa. So this defense definitely responding. Caitlin Kaneda, a 381 average going into this at-bat. 33 RBI. How many times have I said a freshman who's performing so well in the Big Ten this year? She pops it up in her first at-bat. Nelson makes a catch, and there's out number 2.
The third baseman, number 7, Sydney Gray.
Kind of some fun celebrations after these catches are made.
I don't know if it's the tournament that brings it or what, but you talk about good energy, good dancing, good excitement. You're right, celebrating every out.
The tie to Sydney Gray. We showed you she had the lone RBI yesterday in the quarters against Iowa, tallying her 21st of the season.
This is a great spot by Williams and a good example of being close to the zone but not quite getting it in there. And that's the control when you're ahead of a count. It's just a great pitch to throw. Now getting behind here, though, on Sydney Gray.
Gray had the 1 RBI and the only hit for her on the day against Illinois. 1 for 3 against the Illini. Nebraska just 1 run and 3 hits in that game. It was definitely a pitcher's duel between Courtney Wallace and Addie Jarvis, who was the starter for Illinois. Went 4 complete innings in that game. Look at Rhonda Ravel. The way her team responded to a nighttime atmosphere with a very, very 90%, if not heavier, pro-Illini last night. A championship atmosphere is what she called it. And now dealing with a 2-out walk. So a base runner here with 2 outs, and Maya Felder at the plate.
And that is something that Williams can get in trouble with, is the free passes. It's kind of been part of her game for her entire career, but it's where Nebraska needs to capitalize, because hits are going to be hard to come by. It's something, again, Danielle Williams throughout her career has done a great job being able to limit hits and a lot of run production.
Hard ground ball that ends up being foul.
Katie taking that hop on a backhand there. Good hard hit down that line, just falling a little fair.
Felder, one of the team captains, transfer a couple of schools before she made her way to Nebraska, Oregon, New Mexico State. Here's the 0-2, outside. Sydney Gray at first base, not necessarily a base-stealing threat. Only one stolen base on one attempt here this year. And moving with 2 outs, though. Ground ball to Katie. Nebraska leaves a base runner on and can't plate a run. Speaking of plating runs, Northwestern trying to do exactly that. Another step towards trying to win a Big Ten tournament title. Northwestern hasn't done it since 2008. They come to the plate in the semifinal for the first.
Yeah, she's going to throw mid to upper 60s. She's got that ground ball, drop ball that produces a ton of ground balls. That is part of her game, and she's got this maturity about her, this experience that just propels her along the way. But no doubt about it, that drop ball is something that Northwestern is going to have to look to attack, and Wallace is going to have a day with it today.
You mentioned it, Jenny, as you see Skylar Schellmeyer's numbers. Wallace, 12 ground ball outs to 5 fly ball outs. And just pitched with all kinds of confidence. And she brought up to us in the postgame, like, look, Illinois is a team that we haven't played in 2 years. So, you know, they haven't seen Courtney Wallace. Unlike, it's a very different situation. You see her numbers from yesterday against Illinois, but Northwestern is very familiar with her. They've already, faced Nebraska as a team 3 times this season.
Yeah, this is a team that I think, if you're Courtney Wallace, you know that. You know that you face these batters. You know what their tendencies are. If you're one of these batters, you know exactly what she's throwing. So you look for it, you find a spot in that zone, and you sit on it and wait for it to be thrown. If Wallace gets behind, she tends to come in with a fastball occasionally. And that's a great pitch for a Northwestern batter to really look and attack, compared to going with that drop ball that has that downward spin.
Wallace made 3 appearances in the 3 games against Northwestern. Averaged about 3 innings per appearance in that series. But came in relief in the Saturday game and the Sunday game when Nebraska had leads. And just some disappointing finishes. I know that Courtney Wallace would like a chance back, so maybe a redemption game for her. You see her numbers this season against Northwestern. 19 earned runs and 17 hits and 10 walks. In fairness to her, though, a lot of those walks and hits on Sunday, it came down with the rains coming down, and it just so happened that Nebraska was on defense when the weather was getting worse. And that inning turned into a big inning for Northwestern, and it turned into the worst here for Nebraska. That's the beauty of the postseason. It's a new season and a new page to turn for so many players. And a great first at-bat and battle between Schellmeyer and Wallace.
Well, if you're thinking about those big days where you've scored all those runs in that one game regular season where Northwestern got 22 runs, and you can't, as a batter, walk in and expect to have that same kind of performance. You have to go and attack the 0-0 ball game.
7-pitch at bat, Schellmeyer, the bouncer to short, 1 out. Kansas Robinson, first-year player. Northwestern doesn't say freshman, they say first years. 293 average coming into this at-bat on the all-freshman team. Hard grounder up the middle, and it's the first hit against Wallace.
Kansas Robinson, the drop ball is kind of her go-to pitch that she likes to see. You see how she kept her barrel down and just drove this pitch right back up the middle. This is a good piece of hitting by Robinson to get on base, and that is absolutely something, if you're Northwestern and you're watching an at-bat, that's how you attack a drop ball like Wallace's.
Kansas Robinson's first hit of the Big Ten tournament, too. She was 0 for 2 yesterday against Iowa. And it brings up Jordan Rudd. Talented catcher, talented hitter. First catcher conference history to be named first team All-Big Ten in her first 3 seasons. Second team All-Big Ten this year. The 1-0, a bouncer to Wallace, fields her position, gets the lead runner. Kaneda thought about trying to get the double play. 2 outs instead.
I think you've got to take care of the ball, right? So Kaneda's smart enough to know that if she can't make the throw without rushing it, then she needs to hang on to it. Or if there's not going to be a play, a good decision here just to hang on. The last thing you want to do is rush a throw and overthrow it and create chaos. Especially when you have 2 outs, just work to get the batter.
Hannah Katie is the next batter up for Northwestern. Top 4 batters yesterday against Iowa. Schellmeyer, Robinson, Rudd, and Katie. No hits against Iowa. They were 0 for at the top of the lineup. Katie with a .265 average. 2 balls and no strikes. Now 3 balls and no strikes. As we talked about, Kelsey Nader had the green light on a 3-0 pitch yesterday.
100%, and this is a situation I think where Wallace is good enough to hit her spot and throw it in that zone. Look for a good pitch here. Katie chooses to wait on it, but you can almost expect a fastball. If that drop ball's kind of jumping out of the zone a little bit and you're getting a ball and you're trying to raise it into that zone, sometimes you just go with a straight fastball if you're Wallace. That's what you saw there.
Walter, 2 on with 2 outs. Nikki Cochran now at the plate, 3rd on the team in RBI with 30 that she's helped to plate this year.
Another batter in this lineup that is just solid at hitting a pitch lower in the zone, seeing it down. Just had 16 hits on a drop ball against a right-handed drop ball pitcher, which is the best of the pitches that have been thrown to her. Introducing the off-speed makes sense if you're Wallace. You've got Cochran, who's got so much power, a quick bat. Just even if you introduce it, it's never a waste pitch by showing and introducing a different speed. It's more of a setup pitch.
Bounce it back. Not only is Northwestern seeing Wallace for the really kind of the 4th different time this year, let's not forget that Wallace is also a 5th-year senior. So she has made several trips here throughout the Big Ten. And granted, it's never a guarantee that we'll always have a Northwestern-Nebraska matchup. Those are the kind of things that she's had to face against certain opponents throughout her career. These days, to have a senior to play all 5 years in one spot is unusual.
And produce as well as she has too. I mean, she wasn't just trying to fill a gap, she was producing at a high level.
High to Cochran. And 3-2 now the count.
You can tell that Wallace is being a little bit careful with her pitches here in the heart of this lineup. She gives up that hit to Robinson. The next three batters, I think, Rudd and Katie, who got a walk.
Cochran trying to go Apo, and it's foul.
This year too for Cochran, she's just been a lot better at battling through at-bats. She fouls off more pitches. This is what we're seeing right now. And that's made her a harder out. Her bat speed has increased.
She drives one and finds the cap. Rudd scores Northwestern's first run. Here comes Katie for run number 2. And a 2-out RBI, 2 RBI double for Nikki Cochran.
Nikki Cochran worked that count until she got the pitch that she wanted to see. This one over the heart of the plate, and she drives it in the gap. You see the effort she gives to try to leg this into a double. Gets there, no problem. Jordan Rudd scores easily. Hannah Katie right behind her. 2 plated for Northwestern, and a huge hit for Cochran here early in the game.
Her 32nd RBI of the season. Northwestern looking for more. Zidak picking it up. And Cochran gets run number 3, and back-to-back doubles for the Cats.
This is when you know you're feeling it, when you just talk about switching places. Cochran at second, Zidak to bat. Puts the ball in play, switch places with her. Cochran scores Zidak to second base. This pitch, screwball inside on the corner. Zidak, just a great bat speed. Drives this. Brooke Andrews does a good job to try to make an attempt to make this catch. You can see as she dives here, just short of getting her glove on the ball. Good backup by Caitlin Neal. But Zidak able to switch places. Cochran's able to score easily. This is a team, we again talking about experience and what Northwestern can do. They're just so good at making in-game adjustments, at having a conversation, talking with their team. If you just finish an at-bat, talking with those on deck in the hole, having that conversation and making those adjustments before you get up to bat, and you're seeing that pay off here with some contagious hitting and a rally here already in the first inning.
3 runs coming with 2 outs here for the Cats. Maeve Nelson, now the 7th batter to come to the plate in the bottom of the first.
Seemingly the more that Northwestern is hitting the ball, the more that Wallace is careful with her pitches, missing the zone a little too much. And the key for Wallace, again, to feed that defense. Throw pitches that your defense can make plays on, and not something that these batters can really square up and hit the ball hard.
Kate Drohan seeing her offense perform a little bit better today with 2 outs than it did yesterday. Just 1 hit with 2 outs against the Iowa Hawkeyes yesterday. They were 1 for 7 in a 2-out situation. They already got a couple of hits with 2 outs here in this first inning.
You can see how contagious hitting can affect a pitcher. Wallace now getting behind 3-0. And having to work from behind and bringing a pitch too far into that zone, and it just contributes to what Northwestern has been doing at the plate.
The The 3-1 to Nelson. Count goes full.
The count is full.
29 pitches here in the first inning already.
The 3-2, Nelson fouls it off.
You can see how many balls Wallace has been throwing in comparison to the strikes. Almost 50-50. You're almost looking for a 2-to-1 ratio, strikes to balls.
Nelson fly ball, shallow center. And Northwestern, though, does some and what included a 2-hour rain delay in game number 3 as well.
And certainly not the conditions that you want to perform, especially when you're facing, you know, the #1 team in the Big Ten. There were some heartbreakers, though. That 10-9 loss, the extra inning walk-off. I think you got to consider that those are great bounce backs after a 22-run, giving up 22 runs, I should say, in that first game. And it's really easy to feel defeated in moments like that. And it says a lot about Nebraska to really go back and compete the next 2 days, even though they ended up in losses.
Yeah, you got to think Nebraska kind of chomping at the bit to get this matchup once again. And Andrews strikes out. First strikeout looking. And the first strikeout for Danielle Williams.
Just pinpoint control is the name of Williams' game. Look at this screwball as it hits on the corner there. Just a great corner. She doesn't get a lot of the ball on the plate ever. She does a really good job just mixing it up just off the plate.
Jenny, I'll tell you what, when I looked at the Nebraska batting order, one of the first batters and players I looked for was this one right here, Abby Squire. We saw her leave the game yesterday against Illinois. You know, she was taking second base and obviously pulled something or tweaked something that wasn't right, kept holding that lower back area. And left the game late in the game, had a pinch runner coming in for her, and then she never returned. So it's good to see her back in the starting lineup. As he puts it in the air to center field. Schellmeyer again.
So 5 outs, 3 of them pop flies.
I mean, the celebrations are almost better than the defensive plays.
I don't know how they remember
Sometimes.
That. So when I played, I held up 1 finger or 2 fingers.
You didn't
one
do
out or
you
2
didn't do a
outs.
dance
No
like
dances, nothing.
I'm shocked.
No mascots in the dugout. I'm old school, I guess.
You totally are old school.
I didn't have time to think about that. Yeah, I cared about PFP and getting strikeouts.
Yeah, fielding those ground balls against Garland Cooper. That's all you did. Caitlin Neal, 321 average. 5, 6, and 7 hitters in this lineup. Right behind Neal, it'll be Courtney Wallace, too. And one of the differences in this batting lineup from yesterday to today, with Wallace in the on-deck circle.
It's a check swing. Called a strike as she crossed the plane at the plate. You can see that barrel get out a little bit past that plate for a strike. Almost again there, and that's what Danielle Williams does for you. She makes you second guess every single time she throws this pitch. This one not even close to the zone. She does a better job pulling that back, but Neal just not as confident in swinging through those pitches.
Handcuffed her and pops it up to Hannah Katie. Couple of fly ball outs, and Danielle Williams at the plate. We see Schellmeyer in this inning will be the 8, 9, and 1 hitters in this inning for Northwestern, and Sarah Harness is the new pitcher for Nebraska. It has been a kind of a rotation. Courtney Wallace certainly has shouldered a majority of the innings, but you see Harness's numbers here this season.
I think that, you have to work together if you're Wallace and Harness, especially against this team. She's going to go up in the zone. She's low to mid 60s. She's got a rise curve combination. Her consistency is what makes her successful. She needs to be consistent around that plate. I think the important thing to mention here with this pitching staff is that Harness is in the game in the lineup as the 1/flex player in the 10 spot of the lineup. She's tied to Courtney Wallace, who's a DP. They actually put Courtney Wallace in at the beginning of the game in for the flex and now have switched him out. So Wallace can come back in if she wants to, and they can alternate as much as they want. If that's what it takes to keep this Northwestern offense off balance, then that's what it's going to take. But just as a heads up for those of you watching, they can switch interchangeably at any point during this game.
It's not just now the one re-entry here for Courtney Wallace. That's the important part of that lineup
and to that point,
for Nebraska.
Harness is not burned if you put Wallace back in. She can also go back in.
3 balls, 1 strike to Nader. Pops it up. Andrews is there. Rhonda Ravel has talked about how they have a short pitching staff, and they do numbers-wise. Grace Nito at the plate. The number 9 hitter for Northwestern. Ground ball to the third baseman, Gray. Now 2 outs. For the biggest Big Ten experience, there's no plus like home. The Big Ten Plus app, powered by the Big Ten Network. Download and subscribe now to stream this weekend's Big Ten Rowing and Big Ten Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Well, Kaylin Kinney could have been maybe a 3rd pitcher for Nebraska, but she has been injured, has only thrown 25 innings all season. So a heavy dose, over 200 innings pitched for Courtney Wallace, over 100 innings pitched for Sarah Harness. And a meeting in the circle with their head coach, Rhonda Ravel, at this point.
You're getting here at the top of the lineup again. Shellmeyer is so much the spark of this lineup in that 1 spot. So maybe having a little bit of a conversation if you're Rhonda Ravel to Sarah Harness in the circle and just get her mind right. Get the plan, the game plan set on how you want to attack the top of this lineup. And you keep in mind that first inning, Nebraska was able to get 2 quick outs just like they did this inning, but that's when the run production started happening for Northwestern. So they're not out of the woods until they get that 3rd out. Northwestern team that doesn't feel that 2-out stress or pressure.
Shellmeyer, you saw her numbers this series against Nebraska. They've been good. And so that's the point, too. You face a hitter like Shellmeyer, and she represents the top of the order, because you wonder, Nebraska's done its job here so far in the first 2 hitters that they see. Why the conference meeting?
I just think you've got to play this team so carefully. And careful doesn't mean take risks. Careful doesn't mean be aggressive. But careful means be really, really smart about the decisions that you make. And I think, seasoned coaches are going to make good coaching decisions throughout this entire game just to keep their team in it.
High and outside, 2-0 now the count to Shellmeyer. One of those batters that likes to take about a half-mile walk around before she returns back to the batter's box. 3 balls, no strikes. And she sits on the 3-0 pitch.
Yeah, and to your point that you mentioned earlier, Nader got that hit on the 3-0 count and has had the green light to do so. So far, Shellmeyer, who I imagine has a green light take care of the ball any way she wants to. She's choosing to kind of take that pitch.
And she finds the outfield and a 2-out single for Schellmeyer. Remember, Northwestern got a couple of hits and 3 runs with 2 outs in the first inning.
Schellmeyer so often hits to the left side of the field. Kaneda's actually shading in and a little bit towards second base, and that allows this ball to kind of get through a larger hole between first and second base. Great job by Schellmeyer to find the pitch that she wants and get on base.
Kansas Robinson, who had a single in her first time up, she's at the plate. Robinson became the everyday starter in late March for Northwestern. The 0-1, there goes the runner. Schellmeyer looking to take second base, she's safe.
Schellmeyer just got such a great jump right off first base. It's a pitch up in the zone, excuse me, outside. A good throw right on the money, but Schellmeyer just gets that leg in. Andrews trying to get that tag on. Schellmeyer does a good job kind of getting around the tag there.
19th stolen base of the season, the 0-2.
And the key point, of course, getting her in scoring position. Kansas Robinson was actually the hitter in spite of the fact that she was out. She resulted in the second out on a fielder's choice. Was the first hit of the first inning that kind of started that hitting rally. To put somebody on scoring position for her to hit around is a good place to be for Northwestern. Just on that outside corner, curving away from the plate. It's that screwball. I think it's a good spot, though. Keep it on that outside corner, let it move away, try to get Robinson to pop out. Oppo.
Ground ball to the right side, flipped with the glove. Kaneda making the play. Day. Wallace was just the starting pitcher, wasn't in the batting lineup. And this year, Courtney Wallace, this will be her 76th at bat for the season. Comes to the plate, you see there, a 240 average. And she bats about 364 kind of in a lead-off situation where she leads off the top of the third here for Nebraska. And she takes one and gets a single in her first at-bat. The starting pitcher helping things out a little bit, maybe listening to her head coach.
Yeah, what a great way to set the tone, especially when your coaches just have the conversation with you to compete, step up, show up. This pitch low in the zone, not even close to me to one of the best pitches that you've seen in the zone from Williams, and yet Wallace has done a great job putting it in play and getting on base. That is a great example to set for your team, that you can hit a pitch that is near the zone, a hittable pitch, not necessarily something that's a strike, but something that becomes hittable, and she does a great job tagging it.
Ava Breadwell, the number 9 hitter. One ball, one strike.
Breadwell did square on that strike, the previous pitch, to try to advance Wallace. I think in a situation, Wallace obviously isn't going to give you the lead, but for an offense that's kind of searching to put some production together, that small ball, that short game makes a lot of sense.
And she popped it right back to Danielle Williams, who tries to throw to first base to beat Wallace. Wallace gets back in time.
Good job by Danielle Williams. She made a quick throw, and again, mind you that she's a lefty. She has to kind of turn on the run and make the throw. It's not as natural of a move as it would be for a righty, and still a bullet in a close play. Almost gets Wallace.
The fact that she is a lefty, maybe that extra time kind of saved Wallace to get to first base.
Yep. She had to reposition her feet just a little bit.
Billy Andrews back to the plate. Flew out in the first to center field. And another fly ball in foul territory. 3 Wildcats trying to chase it down.
A good hustle by all 3 of them. Cochran, Nito, Nader, covering a lot of ground. It's going all out, and that's something that both of these teams do so well, is just they finish the play. No matter where the ball is, no matter what they do, they finish the play all out.
Off on that one.
We have not seen this pitch from Williams that much just yet. This is her changeup that is so beautiful. You see how far ahead of it Billy Andrews was.
You're looking at her expression, like mid-swing, you could
like, what happened?
Right.
Yeah, where'd the speed go? And that's, I mean, even when you know it's coming, it's so hard to time.
And she got her down swinging. 2 strikeouts now for Danielle Williams.
This second time through the lineup, so Williams kind of stuck with the fast stuff. Now second time through the lineup, she's starting to mix it a little bit more, bring in that changeup. This one just throwing Andrews off completely. Not in the strike zone, in the dirt.
I completely fooled her, their last 2 pitches of that at-bat.
And Kaneda here too, so almost like clockwork. As soon as the top of the lineup circled around again, Williams started to introduce that changeup. It's almost like, again, part of that chess match. Go with the fast stuff. If you can get through the lineup one time through without introducing that, it makes you so much stronger your second time through.
Williams, another pitcher who has been in the conference 5 years, a graduate student. And there goes Wallace trying to take second base. Throw is dropped, and so Wallace is safe at second. And the first time that Nebraska has been able to advance a runner to second base.
Wallace going on the release immediately. Rudd throws from her knees. This ball just does not get in Nelson's glove. I think Wallace was underneath it anyway. Good speed, but how about utilizing one of your pitchers to steal bases?
Doing everything, right?
Always dangerous. Danielle Williams.
We saw Brianna Copeland in her first semifinal do a little bit of everything. She was a pitcher, hit a home run, plays third base. Wallace being asked to be a two-way player here today.
And Williams also used to hit early on in her career, and they, you know, kind of for that example, had her not hit just to protect her a little bit more, give her a little bit of rest, keep her healthy.
2 balls, 2 strikes against Kaneda. I feel like we're seeing, I just feel like we're seeing it less and less now. A pitcher that's also a hitter. There's a period of time where at least Northwestern on its roster had multiple pitchers who could
Well, and
hit.
I think it's, some coaches look for that. They seek that out. Some it's just an added bonus. And I think you can find a couple, but in a lot of cases, I'm seeing a lot of coaches that even though they have a pitcher that hits, they kind of convert them into a PO. So they're only doing defense just to keep them safe and healthy.
Full count and the ground ball to second base, and Nito's there. Fame, won 640 games, and most recently, actually in the weekend that Northwestern hosted Nebraska, Drysdale was able to come back as part of a Title IX celebration. Able to come back, visit with the team, take in those weekend games. That was actually also the weekend that Northwestern wrapped up at least a share of the Big Ten title. And Sharon Drysdale was even able to speak to the team that weekend as well. Big cut by Jordan Rudd, who's at the plate.
And Jordan Rudd is one of the batters here in this lineup where you count on her bat to really produce that I have not seen yet. What she's capable of doing, kind of one that maybe they circle in this lineup, these opposing pitchers, and really pitch her well. And put her in that same category as a Taryn Kern, Taylor Minnick. And just one of the best catchers that I have seen in the nation.
Well, the voters agree with you last year and named her the best catcher. The Johnny Bench Award last year, honoring the best catcher in the country. 2-1 the count. It's high to Rudd, so 3 balls, 1 strike.
You can see how she's just kind of questioning that pitch. Just stay in her legs, stay quiet a little bit more, stay in her frame. Really look to attack a pitch without having any doubt on what's coming in. Just see it, drive it.
Parna staying in the circle, she walked her. You know, Jenny, returning to just the longevity, the continuity story of the Northwestern softball piece, you see it, you saw it in the program that you're associated with Michigan. And whenever you get sort of a longevity coach like Drysdale, and then a clear and obvious handoff to an assistant who knows the program. Kate Drohan, there's 2 coaches that have had longevity here in this program, and you can see the results, you can see the success in Evanston.
Yeah, and I think it's about building on what you did the year before. I know at Michigan, one of the biggest things that we had always talked about was leave the program better than it was when you started. It's a very similar thing that comes across in the Northwestern program, in the Nebraska program, and a lot of these programs where you're able to build on what happened the year before, and you've kind of reached a high level, and now you can maintain that level and just kind of reload every year as opposed to rebuild.
Hard ground ball, that is fair. Lindsay will stay put at second base. Gotta think maybe she could have taken third, and Kate Drohan is looking at her like, look at me, I'll tell you where to go. Lindsay, the pinch runner, in for Jordan Rudd.
This ball was hit beautifully down the line, gets past Felder at first base, and Ayanna Lindsay takes a look, and as soon as she goes and takes a look back and stops, she can't go anymore. You could kind of see the look on her face too, like, I should have gone. Especially when you're put in as a pinch runner, and that is absolutely your job to just be on point, and she is primarily the first pinch runner off the bench and has come through big as a base runner. So you know that she's thinking about that one and wish she had it back.
I mean, you saw her eyes in the right place initially, looking over at third base at Kate Drohan. But you gotta trust that coach has got the eyes for you.
Yeah. You kind of have to be able to turn it on too. And if you're in your mind thinking round versus go, sometimes that much hesitation is enough that you can't go there.
Lindgren sends it to left field, backpedaling. And Squire makes the play, and the tag is made there for Lindsay. Now there's an example that if she's over at third base, that's a run
100%.
for Northwestern.
As I was just about to say, was in that situation if Lindsay were at third base, that would have been a tag and score. Where now you have 2 runners in scoring position, it just puts a little bit more pressure on a Zidak to really put something in play. Just the one out, you're still in the same situation. A sac fly can still do the job here.
So both runners advance. So Lindsay advances at third base, Katie to second. He's kind of learning lessons that can be so valuable.
And you talked about Abby Squire and having your eye on her in the lineup just because of injury. My eye is on the lineup of Angela Zidak always, with her bat speed, with her approach at the plate. To me, like, my eye goes to her every time I watch Northwestern play.
How about your eye going to these numbers?
Yeah, I mean, 346. She's gotten the 2 home runs and the 5 RBI. 8 runs scored. I mean, that's production. I feel like in a lot of other places she could be, you know, a 3-4 hitter in the heart of the lineup. In this lineup, she's in that 6th spot.
And Zidak takes it the other way. It's a deep one, and it goes off the wall. Lindsay scores, 4-0 Northwestern. Here comes Katie, she scores again. It is 6-0, and Zidak is thrown out at third base. But not before she collects a couple of RBI.
Zidak trying to be aggressive there on the base path, but just drives this pitch up in the heart of the zone, delivers it deep into right field, just keeps going, gets off the glove of Neal, bounces away a little bit. The 2 runs are able to score easily, Lindsay and Katie. Zidak tried to leg out that triple, but a good throw in.
8th double of the season for Zidak, credited with the double, but then thrown out, trying to stretch it out. A good play by Nebraska, but a 5-0 edge for Northwestern. They played 2 runs on that play. 3 in the bottom of the first, now 2 in the bottom of the third. These Wildcats, the #1 seed. Back-to-back regular season Big Ten champs, trying to get back to the championship game. Mentioned at the beginning, it's a Big Ten tournament title that has eluded them since 2008. They have a chance to be a top 8 seed, not only trying to end that drought, a Big Ten tournament title kind of drought, but you got to think they're in the conversation if they win it to be a top 8 seed.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about that, this is the first year where the RPI rankings and the actual rankings don't necessarily add up. So you've got 18, they're ranked 18th Northwestern, but their RPI is an 8. And so typically the hosting tends to follow that RPI. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out at that 8th spot. Good chance to host for regionals. The question would be, if they make it to supers.
Foul ball that's out of play. Oh, she drove it deep to center field. That's long off the ball. And it's a home run for Maeve Nelson.
Maeve Nelson.
You gotta eat. Keep your strength up.
It's her teammate sandwich. Nelson's third home run of the season. I mean, enjoy it. Take a bite out of this. Thank you. Just what the home run hitter was asking for. I think it's one of those dollar like peanut butter and jelly little sandwiches you can get for your kids.
For us moms, that's an Uncrustable, Lisa.
You should know. I'm sure you've gotten them for Brady, right? Inning continues. Kelsey Nader on with a single. Got to refuel in the dugout.
You got to refuel. Nader must have refueled herself because she has been on fire this entire tournament.
She has her third hit of the Big Ten tournament. 2 outs has been the kind of the magic situation here for Northwestern. How about this? Yesterday, Jess, we mentioned, they were 1 for 7 against Iowa with 2 outs, and today, 5 hits.
That's so much discipline. And for whatever reason, and it's in the sport of softball, but you get 2 outs, and sometimes an offense can kind of just feel a little bit like the inning's almost over versus, you know, continually going up to the plate and looking to attack. And right now we're seeing a Northwestern team that doesn't care how many outs there are. They're just going and they're doing their job at the plate one after another.
Northwestern 5 of 7 with 2 outs. Kendall Peterson is the pinch hitter. Three runs for the Cats in the first, 3 runs for the Cats in the third. Maybe some more.
Kendall Peterson, not a stranger to this pinch hit position, tends to go in for Grace Nito. A little bit of a bigger stick. You can see that 348 batting average coming off the bench.
Just enjoying the music. I think the DJ here for these softball games is fantastic.
The atmosphere has been good from the moment the first game started. Still going strong now.
Foul ball. Count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Just a little ahead of that pitch from Harness.
For some of these Northwestern fans, it's not a very far trip to make if you're in the Illinois or Chicagoland area. Not necessarily a guarantee for everyone. Peterson staying in there, 2-2 the count. drives it to center field, backpedaling, and making the grab is Andrews. We've seen a couple of deep shots here to center. Maeve and Lisa Byington with you.
Skylar Shellmeyer's, her freshman year, I remember talking with Kate Drohan, and she said she's the juice. And ever since then, that's all I can think of when I see her, is that she brings the juice to her team. And there has not been a single day where she hasn't been high energy and bringing that electric feeling.
Always talking, always communicating, always walking, always moving. They're in center field. You know, so like I said, she'll take like a half-mile walk, it seems like, in between pitches and her at-bats. The 0-2 fouls it off. This is Sydney Gray. And so Nebraska here, trailing by 6 runs, has to find a way to try to come back. We've seen it's just been kind of a wild and crazy regular season series, so really no lead has been safe in the regular season between Northwestern and Nebraska. Bouncing ball to third base, and there's Katie. You talked about a staff more for this year's Northwestern pitching staff, and Northwestern and the Wildcats relied heavily on Danielle Williams in particular when they got to the World Series last year. So we compare numbers last season to this season.
I mean, and look at the numbers though. You can almost divide the 2022 numbers by the 2023, and it's almost identical in terms of output, in terms of strikeouts, walks. Her batting average against is identical. So in spite of the fact that she's thrown less innings, her output, her production is identical to what she's done. And then you have that dynamic of, okay, well, she could throw more and be that effective, but you've also got other pitchers in the batting or in the dugout that can do similar performances. And so when you have 3 pitchers really for Northwestern that you can mix up, that saves you to have a Danielle Williams that is so consistent, come in and be a closer. When you talk about close games, 1-0 ball games, things like that, when you can put a pitcher like Williams in to do the job and get the save, you're in a good place. They're setting themselves up for, you know, a long-term future here in the postseason. And to Coach Drohan's point, the defense plays beautifully behind any pitcher that's out there. They have to know the tendencies, they have to know the differences of how each pitcher delivers their pitches and where they might get more grounders, more fly balls, but in the end, they've performed beautifully together.
Another high ground ball. Look out, Rhonda Ravel. She still got it. She's got the moves over there at the third base coaching box. Got her dancing shoes on.
Look how far back she's standing, too.
I know.
That was still kind of a bullet right at her. You see the coach's box? Felder's got the power. Good quick bat speed. Just finding the pitch that Williams delivers.
To the right side, and the cleanup job there by Cochran. And so trying to test her team going into conference play.
Well, and to me, that's such a catch-22 because you have to play the best teams, the hardest teams early on. You want to keep your RPI up there. You want to play strong, but if your team isn't equipped to handle maybe some more losses at the beginning of the season than you're typically used to, it can go the opposite direction. While it's supposed to prepare you, it can go the other way and make your team feel as if they're not good. So it's good balance. I think that with Coach Drohan and this Northwestern team, again, going back to their experience, you challenge them all day early on in the season.
What does a top 8 seed mean? Well, it means you can host the regionals and the super regionals, and you can do it with plays like that. Wow, what a backhanded grab. Hannah Katie, the hot corner down the third baseline. Brewing or something. She can also bunt. Lays it down.
She
and
can
she's
also
safe.
run. She just finds a way to get it done. She does a great job there at the leadoff. We've talked about it. She also can pay attention to the corners, a green light to make the decision to put that butt down if you want. You can see how excited that made her.
At least she mixes up the dances between when she makes a catch in center field to when she's on base with a bunt. I appreciate that. Nebraska's got to keep an eye on her, though. Remember, she picked up another stolen base, 19 stolen bases as she sits at first base with Kansas Robinson at the plate. Robinson had the single in the first. She grounded out in her second time up in the second inning.
In the heart of this lineup that's coming up after Robinson. A lot of walks, a couple hits, a couple pop flies, but all the runs, well, 5 of the 6 runs scored in that 3-4-5 position. You put the ball in play, getting in scoring position, having somebody like Schellmeyer at first base in scoring position gives multiple chances for her to score. So it makes sense to put her in a steal situation here just to take second base.
The 2-1. Pops it foul, chasing it down off the ledge there. Ava Breadwell making an effort at it. Nebraska has brought 2 different pitchers to face this Northwestern offense. And the 2 main pitchers that they've rotated through all season long, Courtney Wallace, Sarah Harness, have both been credited with 3 earned runs here today with them in the circle. Lisa Byington, Jenny Ritter with you in our second semifinal game. Bring you the championship at 4 Eastern tomorrow. Winner gets the Indiana Hoosiers, who are off to the Big Ten title game for the first time in program history. This is Harness's 3rd inning. Going into her 3rd inning that she's thrown. Wallace started the game through the 1st inning.
Harness is mixing her pitches up enough, moving them off the plate, working full counts though. Kansas Robinson has done a good job. Anything that comes near that plate, showing the discipline to swing at.
Full count to Robinson with Schellmeyer going. Robinson lifts it long, and it's foul. Ooh, it's off the wall and just inches away from another home run.
And that one kept spinning towards the foul line. Looked like a no-doubter. Too far over the heart of the plate there, and if you turn, you can see where it hits the top of the ball, just to the right of that foul line. You can see that orange line coming up, marking fair or foul just, what do you say, 8 inches? It spun away and showing the power, showing it off a little bit.
Robinson, 6 home runs, 21 RBI. Coming into today, see this 8 pitches in this at bat. She's at .565 slugging percentage. Full count for Robinson in the dirt, walked her. So a bunt single to lead off the inning and a walk to the second batter. Brings up Jordan Rudd.
Really quality at bat though from Kansas Robinson, even just as a freshman, to show the maturity, to be patient. She tagged one, it went foul, but that didn't force her to get out of her routine. Ultimately drew a walk.
Rudd in an RBI situation. This is a player you want in an RBI situation. 3rd all-time in Northwestern history.
Tied right now with Rachel Lewis, who was a huge standout for Northwestern.
Well, she was fun to watch last year.
Yep.
That World Series team.
Pesky Garland Cooper at the top there, though.
Garland Cooper gets another reference.
She does.
A couple of them today.
Should I mention that she went 0 for 3 on that one video that we showed?
You already did.
She clearly gets her RBI, too.
You fielded all 3 ground balls, too.
Yep. Had to bring it up again, Garland. Sorry.
Should we mention how many home runs she got?
No. No, we can move on. Just as many as...
I don't know what the answer is. Maybe
Plenty.
Garland can text you that answer.
I'll be honest with you. The answer's plenty. There's probably a dent in Welsh Ryan somewhere, too.
On the rooftop?
On the wall.
On the wall.
Probably on the roof, too. Let's be real.
The 3-0 walked her. Back-to-back walks now. Nebraska's in trouble. And one thing to note, too, remember the run rule is a difference of 8 runs. And in the final at-bat here in the 4th inning, if Northwestern could plate at least 2 runs and make it an 8-run deficit, then Nebraska would be up against it in the run rule going into the 5th.
Yeah, at this point, if you're Nebraska, you're trying to buy innings. So you want to limit those 2 runs from plating to give yourself a few more innings to score and chip away at the deficit.
Bases loaded with no outs. It's Katie, goes right up the line. There comes 1 run. Schellmeyer's in, Robinson gets in, and it's an 8-0 advantage. 2 RBI for Hannah Katie. 28 now on the season.
Hannah's just been seeing the ball so well this game. And this pitch on the outside part of the plate, she gets her barrel out, just drives it right back up the middle. Just deep enough. You got speed on the base path, and Schellmeyer and Robinson, that they're able to score easily. You see Schellmeyer saying, come on, Robinson. Both score. The excitement from Katie, who's producing big time in that 4th spot for Northwestern.
So right now, putting Nebraska in a run rule situation.
1 in the top of the 5th.
Popped up to the 3rd baseman, Sydney Gray, for the first out, a much needed out.
Yep. A good pitch, good bounce back from Harness. Gives up a hit and then is able to deliver a pitch that results in a quick pop fly out. Runners aren't able to advance either. A good response after Coach Sipple goes out and has a conversation with the defense and her pitcher.
Northwestern has gotten 8 runs on 10 hits here so far. As Angela Zedak, a very dangerous hitter, you see what she's done today. A couple of doubles, 3 RBI on the day. Tried to take 3rd base in her last at-bat and got thrown out. The 1-0. And a hard ground ball. Andrews, nice job. 2 outs.
Andrews showing what a pro she is there at shortstop. She's handled that beautifully. Heads up to get the lead runner out. And 2 necessary outs. A dangerous hitter here today for Sarah Harness.
Well, she has been tagged for the most runs. You got to go back to mid-April against Indiana for Harness. We mentioned came in the 2nd inning. Courtney Wallace began this game. This has been a tough offense all season long for this Nebraska pitching staff and defense to handle this year. High and inside to Nelson. Got to be careful with her. Her last at bat, the solo home run.
Yeah, and Harness now getting behind a little bit. And that's going to force her to bring it in, and even those up pitches too, by the way, that's what Nelson hit out of the park. Something that was just not high enough.
3 home runs to Nelson's name, but if you watched that last one, you wouldn't have known it. That was a shot to center field. No question about it. And Skylar Schellmeyer feeding her after she rounded the bases. It's a lot of work to trot around the bases after you hit a home run.
I'm telling you, you got to keep your nutrients in you so you have that big dog power.
Schellmeyer had her teammates back. The 2-1 to Nelson in the dirt. 3 balls, 1 strike.
For Nebraska, this is kind of a key moment. Get this out. You don't want that 8 runs to turn into 9 or 10, because then you're just forcing yourself to have to plate more than 1 in the top of the 5th to keep the game going.
Walked her to load the bases. Kelsey Nader now with an opportunity. She singled in her last time up in the 3rd inning, but now with the bases loaded. Player who had all 3 RBI yesterday in the quarterfinals against Iowa.
Kind of a dangerous hitter here in the Big Ten tournament. So with bases loaded, arguably one of the hitters you want to see at the plate right now.
The 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes. And a 3-0. You think she's swinging? She did yesterday.
That was my first thought that popped in my head is, oh, I wonder if she's going to swing on this next pitch.
What do you think, Kate Drohan?
Like, this is exactly where Kate Drohan wants to be right now.
This be something. Here comes the 3-0. She takes it in first strike. That wasn't as exciting.
No, I like the double on a 3-0 count.
Or at least swinging away.
At least a single.
At least swinging away on a 3-0. I love that.
You know what, though? This pitch could be just as good coming into the zone that she can sit here and drive it.
And she does it. Oh, ground ball to second base. A bouncer there to Kaneda. And so Nebraska is up against the run rule as we head to the 5th inning, trailing by 8. Note, 0 losses to teams outside of the RPI top 65. Which is what you want, right? And when they have fallen short, sometimes it's falling short to a team like Northwestern, one of the top teams in the country.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, my gut tells me that Nebraska's probably in a good spot. I think that a win here would obviously help them. But certainly, you know, based on what you had kind of just outlined there, there's a lot of really good reasons to put them kind of in that NCAA tournament into postseason.
Let me say this. I don't think a loss to Northwestern should hurt them.
Correct. I agree with that. At this point for Nebraska, I think it's a, you know, it can only help you to continue to win.
Whereas winning yesterday against a team like Illinois that was the 12th seed, you know, that would be a blemish because of where they rank in the Big Ten right now this season on their resume. But this would not. And a hard driven ball by Abby Squire for a single. So a leadoff single for Squire and Nebraska.
And that's absolutely the way to set the tone. Good job by Abby Squire to show a little bit of fight that Ronda Rivera is saying, I want to see some fight. There it is, showing that you can put the ball in play against Danielle Williams. First hit since the 3rd inning.
Dakota Carter is the pinch runner for Squire.
First base, number 55, Dakota Carter. Now batting for Cornhusker.
Yeah, the first hit since Courtney Wallace opened things up in the third inning. Just 2 hits this Nebraska offense has generated tonight. And right at the third baseman trying to double it up, they do! Whoa, Hannah Katie! Just like that, 2 outs in the inning. Heads up play by the Wildcat third baseman.
Hannah Katie has been on fire defensively at third base. We've seen her make great plays, perfectly positioned to get this line drive and a bullet to first base to double it off. You see, just too late getting back. A close play, though. And I think they are going to review it just to make sure.
Why not? Neither coach has used any of their 2 challenges here in this second semifinal. And this is the time to do it.
And Cochran went for the tag here, but doesn't have to. She can go and just have her foot on the bag. So she does have her foot on the bag. So the question is, did she catch the ball and secure the ball before that hand got in?
Steve Gould, your home plate umpire. Aaron Peterson, first base umpire. Brad Newton, third base umpire. At the monitor, taking a look at this one. And a Nebraska challenge, the first of the game. A difference between 2 outs or 1 out.
And again, Carter's, her left hand gets in there. Cochran's foot is on the bag, so it's about, does she catch it here or not? It's a close play. Call on the field was out. Remember, it'll be upheld unless it can be changed without any question.
It's Dakota Carter, the pinch runner. And the call on the field, that's important to remember. The call on the field is that the out was made.
And
so is there enough?
This is the great shot of where you can see that left hand from Carter coming in. The question is, you know, her right shoulder's kind of blocking that glove. The second half of that is the ball gets in the glove, and typically what you look for is that glove to squeeze to show that you've secured the ball. You can't see it from that angle, but the hand.
And you got to think the longer that this takes, the more they're considering about overturning it.
And we have seen some that have been changed throughout this tournament. Calls that, you know, typically, you know, the regular season didn't have replay. So making a good case for it here that some of those close plays have been changed so far in this tournament.
The 2 head coaches, very good friends. Rhonda Revelle telling us earlier this season, there's not a week that goes by that she doesn't have a conversation with Kate Drohan. Both championship head coaches, championship programs. And all kinds of respect and friendship between the 2 of them. So again, the biggest difference here is just the out situation. You know, instead of Nebraska being down to its final out, if they could win this challenge, only be 1 out with Courtney Wallace at the plate.
And a runner on first.
And a runner on first base.
So obviously for Nebraska, the importance is to get her to stay safe.
So the call stands. Dakota Carter is out at first. And we saw this, I think, Jenny, in the first semifinal. Not sure there was enough to overturn it.
I agree with that. I think, you know,
such a bang-bang play.
Yeah, it's a bang-bang play. It's close. It's hard to say when the ball was immediately secured and when Carter's hand kind of got in there. So you kind of have to stick with what the call was on the field. That gets Nebraska down to their last out.
Strike call against Courtney Wallace, looking to keep at least Nebraska's Big Ten tournament life still going. But 2 strikes against her. The team captain fifth-year player at the plate for the Huskers. And a ground ball high bouncer to Nelson makes the throw. She beats out the throw. Nebraska still alive.
The second hit for Wallace against Danielle Williams this game. Nelson had to play the hop on this. You see how she kind of had to back up into it to get the hop and make the throw. That is a long throw. And Wallace is able to beat it out, keeping them alive. Great job by Wallace. And a hitter that's in this lineup that doesn't typically hit. So did not hit in the regular season against Danielle Williams or Northwestern for that matter. Found a way to get on twice this game.
Hitter for Nebraska. And fouls it back. 0-2 now the count.
Williams just so good at getting ahead of the batters, going 0-2 so quickly. It's hard for hitters to hit from behind that way.
One runner on, the 0-2 with 2 outs. Into the dirt.
Bringing that changeup in, just missing low. But no need to bring it that close to the plate. You want to keep it low and try to get Smetter to be out in front and fish. She does not do it.
And through the 5-6 hole. Some pinch hit success here for Nebraska. The last 2 batters with 2 outs getting aboard.
And Nebraska's showing a little bit of fight here. Smetter sees this pitch too far over the heart of the plate, especially on a 1-2 count. She's able to drive it in the 5-6 hole. A great pinch hit performance there for Smetter. 2 on for Nebraska, showing that they don't give up.
Michelle Gascoigne, the pitching coach, will meet with the entire infield.
This is a good hitting team, especially a Billy Andrews here at the top of the lineup. And also kind of the importance of the hits, a situation where you have kind of arguably your best hitter that is at the top of the lineup here in Andrews, that had you avoided giving up a couple hits at the bottom of the lineup, you wouldn't have even had to face her. It's now just making it a little bit more difficult for Northwestern to get out of this inning.
Into the dirt for Andrews. Kate Drohan, the #1 seed. The Wildcats looking to get back to the Big Ten Tournament Championship game. Remember, no Big Ten tournament in 2020 and 2021. 2021, of course, was the all-conference season with no conference tournament.
Andrews struck out the last time on a changeup that just kept her really off balance. You can expect to probably see that introduced a couple times in this at-bat. And now Williams finding herself behind.
I love the time that she's taking now in between these pitches here. Walk off some stuff. 3 balls, 1 strike. One of the better hitters in this Nebraska lineup, Billy Andrews, and she walks her. So now the base is loaded. Interesting here in the top of the 5th. With 2 outs.
And this is where you gotta finish, and I think if there's anything that Northwestern needs to be a little bit better at, to me, it's about finishing ball games. I think there are times when they've let their opponents in when they shouldn't have. Here a situation, yeah, you've got a big lead, but you've been solid and lights out for the entire game. Now is not the time to really lose that focus. Beautiful change up there. at will. Danielle Williams hit this pitch. See how far out Kaneda is out in front of that pitch. You'd expect to see it again in this at bat.
The 0-1 to Kaneda, another big cut. 2 strikes against her.
2 strikes, 2 changeups. Normally I would say don't go with a changeup again, but I might.
Okay.
Like in this situation, you've gotten Kaneda twice on it. You can go back and forth and say, okay, she's not going to throw 3 in a row. No, she's not. And it's totally a real thing with Williams that she can feel confident that she can make that happen.
And she gets her, ends in a strikeout. Northwestern wins in the run rule and gets back to the Big Ten title game for the first time since 2018. 8-0 the final in 5 against Nebraska.
Whenever I look into your eyes, I find less peace and love for me. You are everything that I have ever wanted. I want to spend every second of my life with you. I don't know if some kind of a magical if agreeing with you. So the joy effect that I have turned on so wide. So did the effect on your smile on me in my life. Baby, you are and will remain mine forever and ever. Whenever I look into your eyes, I find less peace and love for me. You are everything that I have ever wanted. I want to spend every second of my life with you. I don't know if some kind of a magical effect agreeing with you. So the joy effect that I have turned us away. So did the effect on your smile on me in my life. Baby, you are and will remain mine forever and ever. I don't know if some kind of a magical effect agreeing with you. So the joy effect that I have turned us away. So did the effect on your smile on me in my life. Baby, you are and